Welcome to Cordkillers. Reckoning the world of entertainment is turned upside down, and we are just trying to find out how to watch what we want, when we want, where we want, wherever we want. I'm Tom Merritt. Brian, where's the good stuff?
All the good stuff, it turns out, is at home. It's nice to be home.
Oh, it's good to have you home. How was doing 17 days of convention in 4 days, twice in a row for you?
It was a lot. We'll talk about that in After Talk.
Yes, patrons, you definitely want to get After Talk today. But I say we start with a supply run.
Indeed, sir.
Supply run, supply run, supply run.
Disney said on its earnings call that it will begin the crackdown on password sharing in September, and it will continue to crack down until morale improves. The company will roll out paid sharing options as well. So they're not just kicking you off. They're giving you an option to shell out a little more to stay sharing that account with mom and dad. Paid sharing will let you add a person to your account from outside your household. They did not say how much they will charge. Netflix charges $7.99 a month, so maybe it'll be somewhere around that. Disney's streaming business is now officially profitable, though, for the first time. Disney Plus added 1 million subscribers. Hulu added just shy of 1 million subscribers on its own. And the firm did not report subscriber numbers for ESPN Plus, but maybe they don't care anymore because ESPN Plus is going to be integrated into Disney Plus later this year. They got ESPN coming to that venue service. They've got a standalone ESPN coming on its own. And ESPN Plus lost $19 million in the quarter. Disney also announced it'll raise prices on October 17th. That's about a year after it last raised prices. Disney Plus with and without ads and Hulu with ads will go up by $2 a month. Hulu without ads and ESPN Plus will go up by $1, and the bundles will not change their price. So if you get Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus, you're staying the same. One last thing, Brian, Disney Plus also added news. We've talked before about news, and sometimes I'll be like, well, NBC and Paramount have their news. Disney hasn't added its, interestingly enough, but it has one. Well, that's over. ABC News Live will be part of the Disney Plus service as of September 4th. All right, what do you got?
Well, the biggest thing that strikes me is that all of this news kind of has... Part of it is because they're versions of stories that we've told before about Netflix and Prime and
right,
Hulu and so on. But it almost has kind of an end game ring to it. Like is everything going to end up settled and you and I are just going to evaporate?
well, like a snap will happen by Bob Iger, and
it's like, and it's done. He left the universe for cord killing news.
Well, no, I don't think so, because on the one hand, I'm with you. It does feel like things are settling. We're getting the ESPN thing, right? Everybody's going, when is ESPN going to be available to Cordkillers? Soon. This fall, it'll be available in venue, and shortly after that, it'll be able to get it on its own. ESPN content going into Disney Plus. I imagine it's going to stay in Disney Plus, probably as a tier, even with the full ESPN package coming. So we're getting ABC, right? If you think of ABC as the channel and the Disney Channel and Disney Junior and other ABC properties as, the cable family, that all is now Disney Plus, ESPN included. We've got Peacock, that's NBC. We've got Paramount Plus, that's CBS. Fox is the outlier. They don't have a service. They do have Tubi, which is free and ad supported, and they have Fox Nation. But Fox is the one that has yet to coalesce around a single service. So that keeps us in business, Brian, as long as things remain slightly complicated.
Drama, I am aware. But man, it almost seems like 25 years after the announcement, it seems like by way of Disney, by way of the multiple verticals, by way of Hulu, by way of ESPN, by way of the news, like, do you remember ABC Go? Like they had, like, it feels like they finally won. And Go would be a better name, but like uh, there are so many subtle design elements that I think were very, very well thought out. And my respect for these companies only goes higher because keeping everything in their verticals, so you know what level of safety you're playing at any time. I don't know. I think there if it's not that they won, they're certainly winning. After all, they're finally making money now.
Yeah, that is a big one there because not all of the services I mentioned earlier are making money. Peacock, for example, we talked about last week. I do think it's also interesting because I know you like a branding story that the ABC service is called by the parent company name, Disney. The CBS service is called by the parent company name, Paramount. The NBC service doesn't want to call itself Comcast. It's not Comcast Plus.
I mean, to be honest, smart move, because we've talked about this before. There have been various services that have been backed by AT&T, and I'm just like, what? If, for example, oh man, must have been 20 years ago when Singular got bought by AT&T. It's like finally we could get rid of that filthy old Singular name and make it AT&T. I'm like, you mean the cool little orange happy man goes away, and we go back to thinking about the ripoff artists who charge too much for their product.
Yeah, and so the other one we haven't mentioned here is Warner Brothers Discovery, which is adding CNN, has CNN in Max. So I left them out of that news conversation. I apologize, but they don't call it Warner Brothers, which isn't a bad brand. They could have called it, WB Plus or something.
Yeah.
Because everything's a plus.
Yeah.
But anyway, Disney is still trailing Netflix in number of subscribers, in becoming profitable, but it is also getting into this game a lot later than Netflix. So yeah, it's on its heels. I think it clearly is the number 2. Amazon is a little weird. It's like comparing a kiwi with apples and oranges. Like it's not just a service. It's an add-on to a shipping thing, but you can get it separate, and they're not trying. They don't have a news
or an ecosystem. As a matter of fact, part of the reason that we'll talk about this in after talk, but it's like working the booth at DEF CON. What you want to do is hit a nice round number. And so, this is worth this much, that kind of thing. And there was a couple of things that we would use as what we called sweeteners, where it's like, they're valuable. Would you run up and ask for that up front? Probably not. But it's like, you're going to get blank, 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 a blank at this discount plus this $45 sweetener free. Yeah. And then at that point, you could see in people's eyes, is just like, well, I'd be an idiot not to take this, round number.
Yeah. And you're getting what you need out of it. They're getting more than they bargained for, right? So everybody wins. We'll talk about the D23 announcements and the actual content from Disney, but I think it is important, even if you're just a viewer, to understand which of these services are doing well and which you might lose or become something else. Disney Plus clearly doing well. Disney Plus is not going away. ESPN is having a harder time of it. You hear a lot of headlines, but they're part of a solid organization. ESPN's not going away either.
I'm getting close to thinking that you and I should do a documentary. Who's better positioned to explain the beginning, the Big Bang explosion and balkanization of all this content, and watch all the pieces coagulate and then remorph and change, some making smart decisions, some making dumb decisions. But by golly, we are pretty close to being back to monolithical traditional TV.
Yeah. I don't think we'll become monolithical in that cable sense of like, I will have one option. I will pay them. I will get all the channels except for these 12 that I can decide whether to pay $8 more a month or not for. But I think we are going more to a broadcast model, right? Where you'll have 5 channels. they're super channels. There's way more on them than broadcast channels ever dreamed of having. And you have to pay for them, but it's like that. It's like we're going back to that level of service selection, even if
and on top of that, and that's before we even get into the idea of, you could pay and have fewer ads, or you could not pay and have lots of ads.
Yeah,
and pretty much get everything.
That's what Fox is doing. They're like, although Tubi doesn't have all of Fox's content, right? But Fox is essentially like, yeah, you just get it with ads. We're the over the air broadcast of streaming services.
I will throw this one caveat. There's one thing I know in my life, Tom, is that the moment I feel smart and I'm pretty sure I'm right, within a few weeks, I'm going to be proven very, very wrong.
Something's going to come out. Disney's going to like sell itself to Alibaba or something.
Exactly.
Right. Turns out the balance sheet was only made to look good so they could make the sale. We do know a couple of documentarians in the audience, so yeah, maybe we could do a documentary. I kind of like it. I don't know how we would fund it though, Brian.
Well, you know what? When you're on an airplane, the flight attendants, they always say, put on your own mask first so that you can take care of everyone around you. So let's put on our own mask right now by reminding people that they can keep us loud, live, and independent by heading on over to patreon.com/Cordkillers. You guys, for what, over a decade now, 12, 14 years, have made it possible for us to bring unbiased news, unbiased opinion, lots of oversharing, all at patreon.com/Cordkillers. And it's only getting better. I got to tell you guys, we're able to keep the show so much more consistent and regular. And hopefully you guys have seen that we're just improving all the time.
You may see news this week about Patreon changing some stuff. That won't affect us till the end of 2025, so we're not thinking about it today. Don't worry. We'll tell you once we have thought about it. In the meantime, just know patreon.com/Cordkillers is the best way to support what we do. Let's move on to the search party. Party. So we got D23, we got Comic-Con stuff. Comic-Con got a sneak peek at Daredevil Born Again, season 2 confirmed. Did I say Comic-Con? I think this is D23, not Comic-Con. Why did I write Comic-Con? Anyway, D23.
You know what's funny is I thought, is it Comic-Con time? But
yeah, I did it like 3 times in the rundown. It's not Comic-Con. It's D23. At D23, Daredevil Born Again was shown to people. We didn't get to see it, but apparently Matthew Murdock, played by the same person who played it in the Netflix
Charlie
film.
Cox.
Yeah. And Vincent D'Onofrio also playing
Kingpin.
Kingpin, thank you. I almost called him Big Pin.
I do have a job on the show, people. It's
Thank
work
you.
supplier for
it looks a little darker, apparently, everybody says, but it's Daredevil. And he's born again. Season 2 also confirmed. So you're going to get more than one season. And that first season will arrive on March 1st, 2025.
That's great, man. That first whack at Daredevil on Netflix was really, really impressive at the time. The dark back alley bruiser mentality of the Devil's Kitchen really, really sang, and Charlie Cox really is a talent. Like he's my Daredevil forever and ever and ever.
Yeah. So Daredevil and Big Pin coming to Disney Plus on March 1st. It's Kingpin. I know it's Kingpin. Don't send me an email. Sneak peek clip was shown to attendees of D23 of Mandalorian and Grogu, the movie. That one's not coming until May 2026. So they didn't even get a trailer. But apparently a planet showed up in this clip that looks like Hoth, and Zeb, a character from Star Wars Rebels, appeared as well.
Super hard to get excited because I wasn't in the room and didn't get to see all that stuff.
Yeah. But,
Also because I'm suspicious because Mandalorian, I've gone from loving very much to being highly skeptical of.
Yeah. We also got a Star Wars trailer for Skeleton Crew. That one you can watch anywhere that trailers are purveyed. That is coming to Disney Plus on December 3rd. 2-episode premiere. I'm starting to not like the 2-episode premiere. It's becoming a standard at places. And I'm like, no, I only have time for one. Stop making me double my work to enjoy your show. But anyway, 2 episodes, December 3rd of Skeleton Crew. This is kind of Star Trek prodigy of Star Wars. It's kids get whipped away in a starship they find, and they meet Jude Law, who's a Jedi, or should we say a Jedi, because his name is Jude Law.
How about we never say that word?
You have to put a space very carefully in that word.
I loved this trailer. It felt like, do you remember the movie Explorers from the 1980s? The idea of, and you and I have talked about this. I love, I just want to see different spaces of this universe. And it's very clearly 1950s adorable suburbia, and then they find themselves outside their barrier zone. It felt like Stranger Things. I of everything I saw, this one I was like, this could be very good.
They had even a Goonies feel when they discovered the ship, is what Eileen and I were thinking too.
Yeah, it in the same way that Andor could be set in 1937 Germany. This could be set in 1980s land. And
yeah,
I'm into
absolutely. No, it looks interesting. It looks fun, actually, which I think Star Wars could use. We also got a trailer for Agatha All Along. This one you can find everywhere as well. First 2 episodes on Disney Plus on September 18th. I did not find this trailer surprising. I didn't find it bad, but I was like, oh, okay. Anything with the Aubrey Plaza in it is going to like raise it in my estimation. So they did a good job of showing me a lot more of Aubrey Plaza's character, which is smart for me.
Yeah. I didn't get as much out of this trailer as I had hoped, but that's fine.
Yeah. Are you excited that there's going to be a 3rd Incredibles with Brad Bird directing?
I am. First of all, I've rewatched Incredibles 1 so many times, and it's just a masterpiece. Incredibles 2 was just a different story that didn't capture me as well as the first one did. I would love to be like in the groove and see them come up with like some kind of peak. This is what the Incredibles always should be. However, the Incredibles has always been methadone Fantastic Four, with more angry family, and of course, all blessings to Brad Bird. The guy can do no wrong. I'm excited. I hope it's better than the most recent one.
Yeah. So that's in the works. No dates, nothing like that. They're just saying, hey, we're going to do another one. Also, everyone has been dying for more Toy Story. If I have heard it once, I've heard it 1,000 times. Why stop at 12? Please keep making Toy Story forever. You'll never get it wrong. And guess what? Disney's here to help. Toy Story 5 is in the works. And this time, the toys confront electronics.
Yeah, you see, what people don't understand, and I'm still committed to this theory. Like, I think John Lasseter personally tweeted me saying that my theory is wrong. But at the end of Toy Story 3, there's that moment when they're all about to be melted, and then it does a full Terry Gilliam's Brazil style switcheroo where it's like, no, everything's fine. Everyone's happy. I am convinced all of that is a fake out, and everything since then has been a fever dream.
has been their dying wish for what their lives could have been.
Has been them seeing the fantasy of everything they wished.
Yeah. I find it, we don't really know what era Toy Story is in, do we? I know people fight about that, but I don't know if it's ever been canon of when Toy Story is taking place.
I don't know that it needs to be canon.
It's about to be because they're confronting electronics.
Yeah, but also, okay. Let me soothe your brain here, Tom.
Okay.
In early 90s, when Toy Story 1 came out, it's very clear that Woody is a toy from 40 years beforehand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the toys themselves are immortal. All they want to do is serve and make children happy. So sure, now this one is set in modern day.
I was going to say, if I had to guess, Buzz Lightyear is a late 70s, early 80s toy, right? Because it's got blinking lights and recorded voices and stuff. And that's about when those started to show up. Confronting electronics, well, around that same time is when we got Mattel handhelds. So is that what it is? You're going to get the Mattel football game show up?
I think they're going to go straight to
smartphones,
screen time.
All right. Yeah.
I think that's the real thing that is happening. And I think that they're tapping into the question that a lot of parents are having is it okay that they're watching this much of this, et cetera, et cetera?
Oh, yeah. And Scooper Nova Girl points out they go to an arcade and there's video games in Toy Story 2. So we can't be that far in the past. Yeah. Zootopia 2 coming November 26th, 2025.
This one they didn't have a trailer for, right? They just said happening.
Yeah.
Just
casting and stuff. An animated series titled Dream Productions is coming to Disney Plus later this year and is set between the events of Inside Out and Inside Out 2.
How do you feel about that one?
I haven't seen Inside Out 2, so I don't know how to feel literally because I don't have those feelings.
I believe if I'm remembering correctly, I was well pleased with Inside Out 2 was better than the first one, and
that's what most people say. Yeah. We know the title of the next Avatar. It is coming December 19th, 2025. It is going to be called Avatar: Fire and Ash. And James Cameron said it will not be what you expect, which with a title like that, I expect a lot of fires.
And ash.
And also some ash afterwards. Yeah.
Also, of that entire sentence, the one that made me sad, the one part that made me sad was the words James Cameron, because I realized we were thinking of different avatars.
Yeah, this is that one. I think they're very pretty. And I enjoyed the most recent Avatar in a 3D theater. It was great. I had a good time. The stories are okay. They're good enough to make me enjoy the pretty. Fire and Ash could be pretty great if it's what I expect, which is, a lot of gorgeous fires and dramatic situations. But if it's not what I expect, is it just people smoking? Or is it two characters? Are they cops?
Oh, it's like a mafioso film of lawyers negotiating. They just happen to be blue.
And it's a law firm named Fire and Ash also. Yeah.
Whenever I think of Avatar, all I think of is please let there be good pizza that day. I'll show up, but I just want to have a good meal.
Yeah. I insist on being fed. 4 never-before-seen episodes of The Simpsons are headed exclusively to Disney Plus this year. That includes a Christmas double episode. Additionally, the 18-episode season 35 of the animated comedy is set to debut on the streamer on October 2nd. So if you want me to repeat that for you, Simpsons, it airs on Fox, but it's owned by the production company that Disney bought from Fox. So Disney Plus gets the episodes after they air on Fox. And this year, Disney is producing 4 episodes of The Simpsons that Fox doesn't get to air.
Okay, so these are not buried treasure.
No, these are newly created things. Yeah. We got another trailer for Saturday Night, the movie about Saturday Night Live, which is coming October 11th.
what did you think of that?
I'm a big sucker for I love Saturday Night Live. I grew up watching it. I've been fascinated with it my whole life. I fall in and out of love with it, but I always love Weekend Update. And this looks fascinating. I'm really curious to see how they treat this story. The trailer felt a little bit like it was trying to be Steve Jobs, that movie Jobs from Aaron Sorkin.
I've always loved the fact that I was born the same year as Penn and Teller and Saturday Night Live, and I loved this trailer. I thought it looked, all the actors, I recognized who they were trying to portray. It was great. I liked it.
House of the Dragon's 4th season will be its last. No, you're not wrong. They just finished the 2nd season. The 3rd season will start production in early 2025. They didn't clear up how many episodes are left, but you're going to get 2 more seasons. And I like this. They're saying right now, this is a 4-season long story. It'll have as many episodes as it takes to tell the story, but it won't go longer than 4 seasons.
That sounds like a smart way to get in front of the reputation that the first iteration of this universe
may have gone too long. Yeah. And then Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, coming to Max August 16th. If you didn't see it in the theater, didn't want to buy it or rent it, you can watch it on Max if you have that.
Did we already talk about that? How we felt about it? Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it. No.
Okay. All right.
Stranger Things will make its Broadway debut in March 2025. We talked about this before. It's a prequel to the TV series, and it has already been on stage. It premiered in London last year. So performances in New York on Broadway begin March 28th.
Yep.
And then Disney and NBC haven't agreed on how much to pay for Hulu. So this is a weird one. I'm not going to go too far in it down the weeds, but I just figured some people may see this headline and get confused and think, didn't Disney already buy Hulu? Yes, it did. Part of the agreement of closing the sale was there was a difference of opinion in how much value had been added to Hulu since Comcast had bought in on its share. There was a floor they agreed on. Disney already paid that. There was an amount that Disney thought it was worth that I think they paid. And then there was, NBC or Comcast think it's, worth a little more. And they went to an arbitrator to work that out. And so this is the next step in that arbitration process is like, nope, NBC definitely thinks it's worth more than $8.6 billion, which is the floor price that Disney paid. It's not like Disney will have to give it back. They just have to pay whatever the arbitrator says.
Yeah, there's to be honest, I'm you and I are handshake guys. Like, I don't think either of us have a contract for us doing Cordkillers.
Are you a cop?
but the beauty of this is like, yeah, let's go. Let's move now. We'll settle. We'll figure it out later, And if we're not happy, then we'll just end it. Whatever.
Yeah. Although there's no just end it. They are like contractually obligated to pay whatever the arbitrator says.
Sure. But then
otherwise, yeah.
Instead of just end it, replace that with, then we'll both waste millions of dollars fighting,
waiting for an arbitrator to tell us how much to pay. All right, let's move on to the buried treasure.
Most people want to know why they suddenly got rich.
Buried treasure.
I have been enjoying a show that I don't think many of you will enjoy.
Well, that is one hell of a sales pitch.
I ain't trying to sell nothing, Brian. But I had to say what I was watching, and I couldn't say the Olympics again, which I also was watching. So the one thing we watched is Are You Sure? Or in Korean, Ige Maja, on Disney Plus. It is a travel show. First four episodes, two. Anyway, first episodes are out on Disney Plus. And it is Jimin and Jungkook from BTS traveling together. And the first episodes are in the US. They go to a Walmart and go shopping, and they buy food, and they go kayaking on a river in Connecticut and have a great time. I enjoyed the hell out of these because I know who these two people are already.
Right.
But Eileen and I were talking about it and we're like, there's enough people who know who they are that this will be a successful show. I don't know if it's a show where I'm like, oh, even if you don't know who they are, you'll have a great time, because a lot of it has to do with the interplay of their two personalities, rather than like, this is just a crazy situation for anybody.
It sounds a little bit like the vibes. I remember during the pandemic watching during the Apple TV Plus launch, the Ewan McGregor Has a Friend show.
Yes. Yeah. On Stars, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah. Well,
was it Stars?
he
Anyway.
was going to go from, it was on Apple TV Plus.
Apple TV Plus. Okay.
But they were going to go from the tip of Argentina back to LA or whatever. I mean, it kind of like just do a thing, you know, and be friendly and talk.
I will say one of the things that these travel shows do is show you locations and restaurants and things that you might want. The place where they stayed was a cabin at a campground, if you've ever done those. That looked really nice. Two of the places they ate, I was like, damn, I want to go. I want to eat that lobster roll. I want to eat that burger. So maybe there's a little more than I'm giving it credit for, but definitely if you know Jimin and Jungkook, and then Jungkook is like, hey, I'll drive the motorcycle to Walmart. You're like, okay, this is going to be interesting. Whereas other people go, why is that a thing? So yeah, anyway, are you sure? If you're Army, you're going to love it. It's great. If you're not, I don't know, try it maybe, but no promises. Brian, other than the inside of your eyelids and customers at your booth, was there anything you saw? Were you able to watch anything?
Well, before I left, did we talk about Wolverine and Deadpool? Because I watched it again.
Oh no, you didn't tell me you watched it again. We did talk about it after the first time. Yeah,
it continues to, like, just as an exercise of figuring out it's Easter eggs, the movie, like basically, you know?
Yeah. And you watch the Olympics, but in bars and stuff, right?
Yeah, but mainly, and I'll tell you what, man, they do a great job on the programming, not requiring any audio whatsoever. Like wherever you're sitting, you got 5 screens around you. You can follow the narratives of what's happening. I may be catching Olympics fever.
It's just in time for the Milan Winter Olympics in 2 years.
Followed by the LA
Olympics. Oh yeah. Did you see? Everyone talks about Tom Cruise abseiling into the Stade de France, which granted was impressive, right? For Tom Cruise, it wasn't that impressive. I've seen him do more impressive things, but it was pretty impressive, right? I was more excited by Snoop and Dre performing, and Billie Eilish, honestly, on the beach. Because to me, I'm like, oh yeah, no. And her singing the national anthem, I'm like, yeah, let's show. I talked about this on Good Day Internet today too. I want the real LA to show. Everyone thinks, oh, it's movie stars and, stuff. I'm like, no. Let's show some tacos. Let's show some people cruising Van Nuys Boulevard. Let's
show some BS medical marijuana licenses.
Heck yeah. That should be an event.
some sign spinners.
Sign spinning would be an Olympic event. Absolutely.
I mean, if breakdancing or breaking could be a one-time event, then I'm here for sign spinning.
Spinning. Bring it in. No, I'm serious. Like I hope we get to see a little of the real LA in this, and not just the stuff which is real, but it's a very small part of Los Angeles. And granted, Dre and Snoop are celebrities. They're superstars. They're worldwide superstars, but they came up from one of the realer parts of LA. And so, I'm like, maybe we can shine some light on some new folks too. That'd be cool. Well, folks, if you got something we should be on the lookout for, email us cordkillers@gmail.com. Brian,
yeah.
Is there anything left after you sold things at the conference?
You know what? There's the next project that we're going to do. I don't know if you'll even be able to find the video, but I put it up on X/Twitter. I'm going to go all in on Callie's existential crisis cards. Basically, a 50-year-old mom asks challenging questions, and an 11-year-old girl draws cards about it with questions like, what is my purpose? Why do I feel so alone? What if there's an all-powerful being in charge of the universe? We want to make greeting cards. And so if you go to calliescards.com, you could at least sign up and be on the email list for that. We'll probably do that one as a Kickstarter. But
fantastic.
Yeah.
Go check that out. Meanwhile, we will be scanning the horizon, looking for you.
Send a scanning to avoid.
Scanning the horizon!
Bunch of different stuff here. Google introduced a new streaming device. End of the era. No more Chromecast, Brian. Goodbye to the Chromecast. Hello to the Google TV streamer. It's a nice, thin, well-designed looking, quote-unquote, set-top box, although you're not going to put it on top of any set you have these days. Can stream video at up to 4K, 60 frames per second, support for HDR, Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, spatial audio, through the Pixel Buds, but still has HDMI, USB-C, Ethernet ports, and the remote has a customizable button that you can set to perform whatever function you want. Gone are the days of somebody buying a place on the button. It supports Matter, so we won't need to go into that too much, but smart home stuff, so it can act as a smart home hub. Uses AI, Gemini, to make recommendations, summarize shows. You can even have it create screensavers. Google will no longer make the Chromecast, though. Existing models will remain on sale until they're out of stock. And they'll keep receiving software updates. They'll keep supporting it for the time being, but no more dongles from Google. They are leaving that to Roku and Amazon now.
So what size is this box? It'll actually take up real estate?
Yeah. It's pretty thin. It's not very high, but maybe the size of a couple pack of cards.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah. Roku is launching a free ad-supported sports channel on August 12th. That will have their Major League Baseball games that they got the contracts for in the future, Formula E car races, Top Rank boxing, some sports news, sports documentaries. Some of those are made in cooperation with actual teams. You can access Roku Sports on the Roku Channel app on Roku, Samsung Smart TVs, Fire TV devices, iOS, and Android.
Cool.
Yeah. New channel for the sports. So when you're trying to find that race or baseball game, now you'll know, I need to get that app. It is not on Apple TV, by the way, and it's not on Google TV, interestingly. There was an article in Deadline that caught my eye, Brian, because it had Zaslav, the CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, talking about the fact that they lost the contract for NBA games, the future contract for NBA games, and the fact that Warner Brothers Discovery is suing, saying the contract said that they just had to match the offer. They felt like they matched the offer. And the NBA said, no, you didn't match the offer because the audience you were going to deliver was not the same as the audience that Amazon is going to deliver. And so you would have had to pay more to match the offer. Zaslav said in the earnings call for Warner Brothers Discovery, the lawyers will handle this and the judge will decide and off we'll go. He also said, we've been in that business for 40 years. We've been very effective in that business, and it's our job. We are the leader or one of the leaders in sports globally. Their stock went into the tank, by the way. And Zaslav said, we're very clearly focused on evaluating everything beyond just running the operational business. This sounds like they're keeping the lights on until they sell it. That's what it sounds like to me. Hey, we got lawyers for that. All right. I'm sure they'll do fine.
It sounds like he just read a resume looking for a new
off we'll go.
Too big. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not reading it in the same tone he read it. Now, obviously tone can make it sound a lot different, but yeah, it almost could be read as if he's like, yeah, whatever. It is what it is. We're going to evaluate everything. Okay. I've got a new condo to get to. Bye. See you later.
I mean, to be honest, hopefully this isn't too loaded to phrase it, but sounded very Trumpian, to be honest. Like,
Oh, really? In what way?
well, in like, the lawyers are gonna do whatever they're gonna do.
The lawyers do.
We know we're the best.
We're the best.
Been the best.
Or one of the best. It was the or one of the best that got me. Like, well, I can't actually say we're the best. TikTok has a new feature that will automatically add links that go to a hub around content. So the link will go in the bottom left corner if you're a fan making a video about a movie or TV show. So that hub could be like for the movie, right? For instance, Warner Brothers did this for Dune Part 2. If you made a fan video about Dune Part 2, a link might show up in the bottom left of your video that would go to the Dune Part 2 hub. It is a human decision which video get these links. Creators will be encouraged to make content about the movies and shows, but they won't get paid. They'll be offered exclusive profile frames, filters, merchandise, and tickets, but not money.
Yeah. I'm selling on this idea.
It's a great deal for the studios.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Paramount Global is opening a new why did I put the note this way? A new tab-owned CBS Sports will... Anyway, the story is, I'm not going to read this. CBS Sports will be producing the football games for Netflix. Netflix, remember, has a couple of Christmas Day games. CBS has the broadcast rights for the over-the-air version of those games because they are broadcast over the air in the markets of those teams. Because if you're in that market, you are not going to be expected to have to watch them on Netflix. You can watch them over the air like you would all your other team games. So CBS is going to broadcast them locally and therefore will do the production for Netflix.
So in the Game of Thrones, for this particular game, big move, good move, strong move?
Amazon did this at the beginning too. They were doing Thursday Night Football, which was also on Fox, and they just used Fox's broadcast. Makes sense. Paramount gets some money. They get paid. They're going to have to broadcast it anyway, so they want to have their talent and their production crew on it. And Netflix doesn't have to spend as much to build a crew out of nothing, and they get the expertise. I think it's an everybody wins situation, frankly.
Cool.
Maybe Netflix will buy Paramount. I'm just saying things.
Wow. That was quite a just what's this in my back pocket? A mic that I'm dropping.
Fubo is a streaming service that does sports, although it usually is in headlines for being in a fight with sports providers that it can't carry. However, somehow it carries enough sports that it has hit 1.45 million paid subscribers, up 24% from the same period last year. Still losing money, but they lost less. They lost 8 cents a share instead of 19 cents a share. But the big news is they're adding subscribers at a time when a lot of these services are balancing out. These cable replacement services like Fubo particularly.
That change of momentum is more important than one might think. Like Fubo, we're losing less money. Doesn't have quite the ring, but that matters in the long run.
Yeah. Well, and when you're a young company, which I know Fubo's been around for a while now, but they're still in that phase of like, we were going to lose money for 10 years and then turn the corner. They're getting near the corner. We'll see if they turn it. Finally, multiple U.S. federal agencies have launched the Time is Money initiative. Perhaps they play Warcraft. It is meant to make it easier for you to unsubscribe from things. So this is a collection of agency or multi-agency initiatives. For example, the FCC is investigating whether they will require TV subscriptions to be as easy to cancel as to subscribe. There is the FTC's click to cancel rule that has been proposed that would require you to be able to cancel in either one click or as many minimum clicks as is deemed possible. And then the Health and Human Services and a couple other agencies are teaming up to try to make it easier to interact with healthcare companies. So if you call or email, having a better time. It's all part of the Time is Money, Friend initiative.
To be honest, I love everything about the sentiment of this, but where I get a little bit prickly and worried is like, so who gets to decide how much time is worth how much money?
Yeah. I mean, the way the system is supposed to work, this federally appointed agency is overseen by Congress. And if they overstep their bounds, Congress will rein them in.
You know what? I can't think of one aspect of my life that I just wouldn't want more of Congress overseeing.
Well, and if Congress fails, you can also go to the courts and tell the courts, hey, they overstepped their bounds, which recently they did with the Environmental Protection Agency. And the court said, yeah, they did overstep their bounds.
That all sounds great, Tom, but I'm afraid time is money. And I don't have the time to have everything adjudicated that way.
Time is lawyer money in that case. All right, let's move on to the chatter.
Got mail.
John sent us several emails, but this was our favorite of them all, and they were all awesome, but I'm going to read this one. John said, listening to today's podcast was a joy. My hands are still stinging from being the only person in the car that was clapping and laughing during some of the jokes intended and unintended driving to work this morning and listening to episode 507. So that's the one from July 1st. Robert Picardo's first words out of the womb were, please state the nature of the acting emergency. Acting, not medical? Yeah, that was the joke I was making, but I'm glad you explained it.
Sometimes we're funny, Tom.
Sometimes we're funny. Every once in a while. John said, I'm going to see Deadpool versus Wolverine today. Let's just say I'm a casual MCU or X-Men viewer. I hope I get at least one of those 8 silent thinkers that Brian understood, or at least 3. I know that the drive home from the movie will be my wife saying, so why were you laughing when blah, blah, blah. I also have to say that the fastest scanning the horizon you've ever seen yet was a masterpiece, coming at me especially fast at 1.75x playback. It recalled the humor and intensity of To Doom from a few years ago, where I accidentally called out Jury Not Brian, and yes, the shame still haunts me. You're happy to have at least 30 minutes of pure joy before a day, engineering management boss, John. Thank you, John.
Thank you very much, John. Thoughtful letters like those just make my day. We really do read every single one of them. Cordkillers@gmail.com.
Richard said it was great hearing Amos as a fill-in host while Brian was out. Said have him on more. Several other people said great show, Amos. Awesome job filling in for Brian. Tom, great show as always in these after times. Keep the good stuff coming. Thank you for mentioning me. But yeah, Amos did a great job stepping in. Thank you, Amos. You're the best.
Yay.
It's good to have you back, though. From Tim, the one thing that's been bugging me about Peacock is their highlight reels add a spoiler in the title. This is about the Olympics. If I only have time to watch some of a game or match, then just say US-Australia highlights, not US stuns Australia, which means that there's no point in watching it as I know who wins.
And he did include a screenshot, and it's like 7 events, and I'm like, I don't know who these people are or what they're fighting over, but I could tell you who won and who lost just glancing at it.
I get where Tim's coming from, and I'm not contradicting, but some people don't mind. Some people actually are more likely to watch the video if they know who won. They're like, oh, the US won? Well, I want to see how, right? And my guess is that NBC ran the numbers and found there's more of that kind of people than people like Tim, sadly.
I mean, the alternative would be something like the US took on Australia. You won't believe what happened next.
Oh, yeah. No, I hate that. The answer may surprise you. And then Bai Shen wrote, am I the only one who remembers that y'all did the whole Firefly series on Spoiler in Time? I was surprised to see it get so much discussion about doing a full experience for it.
In our defense, I brought up the fact that we've both rewatched it an awful lot, and I don't know how the full experience would go.
Exactly. No, we didn't forget. We did forget, Bai Shen. You're not wrong. And thank you for reminding us. But I still think it's a valid conversation of how does Firefly hold up as a full experience, which is a different way of doing it. Whereas Spoiler in Time, we just watched the whole thing. There was no questions to be had. We just watched them all. Well, that is it for us. Our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. We are live at twitch.tv/Night Attack Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. I reckon we'll talk to you again next time.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.